Hi, I'm Bill Burnett,
And I'm Dave Evans.
and today we're going to talk about prototyping and iterating your way to a successful future. In our process, a mindful of process, we're always thinking about how can we be a better designer, and how can we apply those design uh, mindsets and processes to this really weird world of COVID-19. Prototyping is one of the processes that designers use to build their way forward, to imagine solutions in an uncertain future. And boy, have we ever had more uncertain future than we face today, Dave.
Absolutely. Now, exactly what are we doing when we're prototyping as designers? What we're not asking is, does this thing really work in testing a prototype before we start making it for the thousands of people? That's an engineering prototype. A design prototype is one that asks the interesting question to which we do not know the answer. What would it be like if? And which questions we ask are the ones posed by our curiosity. Prototyping is taking your curiosity outside for a walk. Gee, back in the day, Bill and I said, what would it be like to write a book? Gee, I don't know. I've never written a book. So we talked to a bunch of people. So that's what we're looking for is curious based questions. Now,
Yeah,
what,
and
what, how do we do a prototype? What do we need to keep in mind, Bill?
here's again a good prototype is simple to do. It's easy and it's available. It's something that you actually can do. And right now we have some new constraints, some new designer constraints about shelter in place and things like that. The two basic kinds of prototypes are a prototype conversation. Sometimes people call them an information interview. This is where you're talking to people to get their story, just wanting to be curious about who they are and what they do. And also prototype experiences, where you have to have a felt experience, go somewhere and try something. Probably those aren't as available right now as they used to be. But the good news is the prototype conversations are pretty easy to get between your Facebook friends, your LinkedIn connections, and all the other emails that you're getting, from people right now who are stuck just like we are in front of our computers, having conversations driven by your curiosity with an interesting person is more available than ever before.
And remember, when you're having these conversations, they're prototype conversations because, as Bill just said, you're getting the story, which means it's not a transaction. You're not asking for a job. You're not asking for the money. You're not asking for somebody to do something for you. You're simply saying, hey, Bill, what's it like for you now teaching remotely? You're in a design class. That's a pretty hands on field, isn't it? How are you doing the no touch, hands on version of design education? What's the story? Because the reason people will do this with you is because everybody has a story. You're asking for something somebody actually has available for you. And in fact, it's easier than ever. And by the way, we know if you do these, if you do a dozen prototypes and you learn some things, some of those things you learn will probably change your life. So go for it. Oh, and one more thing, you might be saying, wait a minute, if I do this, I'm just sitting around talking all day on Zoom to a bunch of people. Is that really getting anything done? Yes, it is. It's actually doing great work, according to Dan Gilbert, our colleague at Harvard, who studies psychology of happiness and decision making. Surrogation versus simulation are two ways to think about the future. When you surrogate, you find out the experience of another person who's a surrogate for you. They're living the life, or as Bill would say, you are sneaking up on the future. Or you can simulate by getting information and imagining in your mind what the data turns into in your own life. Turns out the data says surrogation data, learning from other people's experience, is more valuable to good decision making than just your own simulated analysis of data. So Bill, is just talking to people worthwhile?
It's absolutely worthwhile. And as Dave said, we guarantee you, if you talk to people and you're genuinely curious and there's something that you're interested in, and you have 5 or 10 or 15 of these conversations, something will change in your life.
Okay, get out there and prototype a lot. That's what iteration means.